One of the biggest questions I get after I go traveling, in particular to countries where people know that the laws around being gay or being an LGBT plus person are somewhat difficult or challenged or controversial. People are very interested to know how I got by in those countries. Did I feel unsafe? Did I feel under threat? And these questions highlight a bigger issue or a learning curve that even I myself have gone through over the years of traveling, that I feel a lot of people suffer from. And suffer from is probably the wrong word. A lot of people are subjected to, and it's not really their own fault. But let me explain why. The questions that people are asking are coming from information they receive from very blunt information sources, whether it be a news headline or a news story where they only focus on the negative thing and they only focus on something that's very political in that country. Earlier this year, as most of you know, I went to China, I went to Shanghai for a week, and in the couple of days leading up to it, I kind of hit panic mode because I had an understanding of what China's like based on what I read about and see in the news or on social media and headlines, what other people say. And I kind of freaked out a little bit of like, can I be expressive? Can I be like, how do I function in this place where I know that their laws are a little bit grey around gay people or LGBT people? I quickly then soon realised it's not like I run around in Melbourne waving a pride flag and half naked anyway, so I'm not going to do that there, so tick, remove that. But when I got there and I started talking to people on the ground and started observing society and observing the way that people live their lives, you very quickly realise that everyone's pretty much the same, as in the same as me and my friends here as they are in China. Everyone's obsessed with technology. Everyone gets the train and drives cars and goes out with friends and has drinks and eats meals and wander around taking pictures and just get on with their life. They just want to be happy. They just want to be social, go to school, go to university, go to work. They're all pretty much the same. And it makes you really quickly realize that everything you read about or hear about that particular country is all based on their political status, right? It's all based on their politics, which are not necessarily replicated among the general population. And this all came to light when I then went to the UK as part of my Europe trip. And a friend asked me, genuinely asked me, what's it like to be gay in Australia? Is it dangerous? And I looked at him and was like, dangerous? What do you mean? Like, it's one of the safest places in the world to be gay. Mardi Gras is one of the biggest gay events in the whole world, which is in Sydney every year. What do you mean? And he turned to me and he said, well, you guys don't have marriage equality. And that's where it hit me, because that he's getting his information from the headlines that are coming out of Australia, which is, oh, the marriage equality debate rages on and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't get angry at him at all. I just sort of looked at it and went, wow, even people here in the UK are having these really narrow-minded views of Australia, because all they're seeing is that, well, this marriage equality still hasn't passed in Australia, so therefore they're a bunch of homophobes. And I explained to him, I said, that is purely a political thing. 75% of the country wants it passed and wants it through, but it's just this stupid politics that's going on and just delaying it. And because Australia's behind the rest of the world with everything, what's new? And then I explained that whole China thing to him, and he then understood it. And I said, if you traveled to Australia, you'd be fine. You could walk down the streets being as fabulous as possible. No one would bat an eyelid. And I guess the point of this is, don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, it's as corny as that sounds. I went through Eastern Europe, parts of Eastern Europe where I'd been under communism for so many years until the 90s, and they'd opened up, and obviously their policies and stuff are a little bit behind the Western world as we know it today. And I got through fine. You're a tourist, you're there, you see what you need to see, and you move on. And to give you another example, I went to Singapore in 2015, and Singapore also has very grey areas around laws of homosexuality. I think you can be gay, you're just not allowed to, express it or engage in the behaviours, let's put it that way. Based on my readings, they kind of turned a blind eye, but I did freak out a little bit before I went. I did all this searching, which, by the way, if you're going to travel, don't search up that sort of information, because it'll just freak you out and not want you to go. I learned that the hard way. Now I just don't do it. And in Singapore, it was fine. Like, I'm not walking down the street and someone's going, oh, there's a homosexual. Like, it doesn't do that. People just get on with their lives. And Singapore is a very much a business metropolis as well. It's so many Westerners, it's very connected to the world. And on one night I even went to a gay club. It was hilariously called Taboo, and it was packed full of people, and people were really nice, and people were having a great time there. And I keep itching my nose. People are probably going to think I've snorted cocaine or something, but it's just because summer hay fever. And I went to the club. I got dropped off by an Uber, picked up by a taxi outside a known gay club in the gay area, and that was that. There are sort of two parts to this video. Is that one is the whole travel aspect on if you fear traveling just because of your sexuality. Majority of the time, I'm not saying it's going to be standard for every place in the world, but the majority of the countries that you're going to go to, particularly at a young age, you're going to be fine. That's not to detract from the fact that yes, there are countries in the world where being gay is a serious political issue, but it's also an issue among society where the punishments are really harsh, but that's not what I'm talking about in this video. But the main point I want to bring up is that don't base your understanding on really simplified stories that are getting released about a particular country that's largely based around their political views, or based around something like an incident, one negative incident that you then generalize to the whole country, because it really doesn't work that way. If you've had similar experiences where you've thought about a country's going to be a particular way and you get there and you realize that everything's fine, let me know below. Let me know maybe a personal experience that you've had. Maybe you have had a negative experience, or if you have an opinion of judging a book by its cover, the theme of this video, then write it below. Let's have a chat. Speaking of traveling, I was in Japan a couple of weeks ago and I did 2 vlogs which you can watch as my previous videos. I'll put the links down there. They'll also be on the end screen as well. I also wrote a blog about Japan. I've got a new blog this week which you can also find in there, which is about a country in Europe. I haven't double checked it, but maybe it's going to be a surprise for you. Thanks for watching, and until next week, that's a wrap.